Hello guys, how are you today? Welcome back to my channel called Blast and the Past, and today I have another film review. This time it's a DVD release of the film Heartburn from 1986 starring Meryl Streep and Jack Nicholson. So this is a great duo. It's already a very strong, very solid recommendation, but I would like to go a little bit further with this one, if I may. Alright, so without further ado, let's kick off this review, shall we? So, as you can clearly see, it's only a DVD release, and it's a Polish one. But I have to say that the layout is pretty neat, so it looks nice, it looks okay. The composition on the front cover, the back cover, the colors, the picture, the front picture, the main picture with Meryl Streep and Jack Nicholson. So I think that when you have a look at it, you know what you're getting into before the screening. So it's a romantic, a little bit of comedy, a comedy drama. It was directed by Mike Nichols, so a very famous and renowned director who also had in his portfolio films like Regarding Henry, for example, and Silkwood, if I'm not mistaken, also with Meryl Streep and Kurt Russell. It is also based on the script written by Nora Ephron, so a very famous Hollywood writer, and this one is a little bit like an autobiography because it's based on her life and her struggles and her rocky relationship, basically. So I don't want to spoil this film, but I think that this story is pretty interesting, although maybe a little bit slow paced, but this is a comedy drama, so what do you expect? Some bangs, explosions, chases, shootouts? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So if you are into this kind of genre, so I think that it's worth giving it a go, giving it a whirl, but I'm not gonna jump the gun yet. So I'll dig deeper into that in a second. But now maybe I will put it in here. I hope that you like this new setting. So there is a TV screen. It's not my regular TV because mine is a little bit bigger, thank God. But this is in my living room, so it's the secondary TV just in case. And so I'll use it for the purpose of this review and the upcoming reviews as well. Why not? Something different, something for a change, maybe out of the box a little bit. So let me put it into this DVD Blu-ray player. Why not? Alright? You'll have a glimpse of what it looks like. So let's carry on. Yes? Alright guys, so this is the front cover of this DVD edition. This is the spine, and this is the back cover. So it looks pretty sleek, pretty neat, right? Don't you think so? I like the layout, the design of it, and the colors, the composition. It's just everything is in the right place. And here's the disc. Apparently, you'll see, maybe it's like the German pressing, because you can see this age classification. Alright, so without further ado, let's open it. Have to be careful not to scratch it. It's not a Blu-ray disc. And press play. And now it is loading. As you can see, there are many options in terms of the possible available languages. So by default it should be English, but if I'm not mistaken, you have also Spanish subtitles and the Polish ones. Oh, and the film starts from the get-go, just like that. You see, this is fantastic. And as you can see, there are many subtitle options. Right now, can you see that? So I like to put the Spanish ones with English films. I have a chance to practice my Spanish to brush up on it a little bit. But regardless of your choice, so let's say that there is none. There are no extra materials, unfortunately, maybe fortunately, because it leads me to another point. And the point is that the quality for a DVD release is superb. Let me skip it a little bit. You see? Only a mere DVD release. And it's full screen, that's the first thing. And secondly, the details that are there, the picture is pretty crisp. But I would like to elaborate on it a little bit, if I may, alright? Okie dokie, so let me read a short summary of this film first, of the plot. So it's featured on the IMDb website, and this one actually, it was written by Lisa Todorovich. So let's kick it off. This is an autobiographical look at the breakup of screenwriter Nora Ephron's marriage to Carl or the President's Man Bernstein. That was also a best-selling novel. The Ephron character, Rachel Samstad, Meryl Streep, is a food writer at a New York City magazine who meets Washington, D.C. columnist Mark Forman, Jack Nicholson, at a wedding and ends up falling in love with him despite her reservations about marriage. They buy a house, they have a daughter, and Rachel thinks they are living happily ever after until she discovers something. So it is spoiled in this summary. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, don't worry, guys. I wouldn't do it to you. So relax. And what else can I say about the plot? So it's a full-blown comedy drama. I think that the bigger part is definitely drama than comedy. And like I've mentioned, it's a little bit maybe slow-paced. It takes time to develop for the whole plot, for the relationship between them. So as I've said before, it's a stormy, rocky relationship. It has its ups and downs, maybe mostly downs, but you know, this is what life is about, and life is no bed of roses, and also everything is fair in love and at war. And this film shows the first one, the former one, pretty clearly that things happen just with life. And this is pretty funny because Meryl Streep's character, she's very, I would say, her approach is against getting married, because in this film, I think that she's, if I'm not mistaken, she's already been through one divorce, through one relationship, and she doesn't want to repeat the mistake from the past, getting married. I could be wrong about it. Maybe she was only in a relationship, shacking it up. I'm not sure about it, but she decides to go for it because the main character, Jack Nicholson's character, he's madly in love with her. But on the other hand, Jack Nicholson's character, he's a typical womanizer, a ladies' man, a skirt chaser, so he doesn't take no for an answer in terms of flings and relationships. And she is aware of his bad reputation with women. Nonetheless, she decides to follow her heart, not her intuition and not her brains, for better or worse, right? You have to see it. What happens next? Actually, I have to say that the soundtrack is fantastic because it features Carla Simon's hit "Coming Around Again," but you know, I've noticed a very strange thing, and I know that it's been addressed before, but nothing has ever come out of it. Because at the beginning, the song goes like that. So it's just. Let me have a look at the lyrics, if I may, because I don't remember them. I don't remember the lyrics, although the text is pretty simple. So it's something like this, right? At the beginning. Coming Around Again by Carly Simon. Baby sneezes, mommy he pleases, daddy breezes in. So good on paper, so romantic, but so bewildering. Alright, so this is Carly Simon's song, right? And many years ago, so I think it was around 2006 or 7, so in Poland, suddenly this Polish band Feel popped up, and they have their own song, and it is called like It's Already Dark. This is the title of the song. It sounds like a joke. Jest już ciemno. And don't get me wrong, I fell in love with that song, but first of all, I hadn't known the original one, which is slower, but the Polish song, their first hit, which opened the door for them towards a bigger career in Poland. So it was like, and I don't have to look at the text because I was so madly in love with that song that I remember I learned it by heart completely. I remember it was an earworm to me, it was so captivating. But coming back to the song. Jest już ciemno, ale wszystko jedno. Pytam siebie, czym jest piękno. Piękne usta, jasne dłonie, czyste myśli. O Boże, i mówi tak jak ja. And then it's a w myślach choć chodź tu do mnie, poczuj się swobodnie, przy mnie bądź, a przy mnie bądź, and something like this, right? So, you know, my singing maybe it's not the best, but I hope that I've illustrated the point. So I don't want to use the real video clips and the real music because I don't want to get this video struck down or deleted, suspended, whatever. So maybe if I sing it, so then it flies below the radar, but you can clearly see the similarities. Later on, the songs are different, but the similarities are striking. I read about it, and the Polish song by Phil, so it's been tested. Regardless the possible plagiarism, and it passed the expertise, that examination, that test. So apparently everything is fine, but to me the similarity between those is so striking. The second one is the carbon copy of the first one, but a little bit sped up, a little bit faster, more dynamic. But this is just me. You know, I'm not an expert, especially not in music. Maybe in films, but not in music, so this is not my domain. I love singing, I love listening to music, but like I said, I'm not an expert, and if the experts, like 10 years ago, they decided that it was okay, it hadn't been plagiarized, so they knew what they were talking about, but to me it's unthinkable that somebody cannot connect these two together. But this is just me. So that was maybe a fun fact, a little bit a piece of trivia, why not? Maybe it was a bit cringe-worthy, but at least it's for your own benefit. Maybe it was just fun. So coming back to the film itself, you really have to admire the chemistry between Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep. So they are so great together, and actually according to IMDb, so Jack Nicholson agreed to star in this picture only because he wanted to cooperate with Meryl Streep. That was the main reason. And like I said, so the chemistry is there, and many of the dialogues, they were improvised according to the pieces of trivia available on IMDb. And whether it's visible or not, I know it seems that they're having fun, as much as you can have fun in a comedy drama or a full-blown drama. So like I said, maybe there is a touch of humor, but if it's there, it's ironic. Mostly it's a romantic drama about the relationships, about life, what it looks like. The duo is fantastic. So both of them are juggernauts in Hollywood. Unfortunately, Jack Nicholson right now, so he's retired from acting, but come on, he deserves retirement. He deserves to be a pensioner, yes, and live his life happily ever after. But Meryl Streep is still active. She still gets nominations. She's still receiving recognition. She's still there in the limelight. And Jack Nicholson, he decided to follow a different path. But there's a substantial age difference between them. Because at the time of the filming of this film, so Jack Nicholson was around 49 years old, I think so. And Meryl Streep was 37. So pretty significant difference between them. But Meryl Streep, really, she looks fantastic. She looks great. She's very attractive in this film. And generally, she was a very attractive woman, of course. There was something in her beauty, in her appearance. And Jack Nicholson is just being Jack Nicholson in this film, right? Womanizer, so this is just him, right? You know what to expect when you hear Jack Nicholson, especially that, you know, he makes this special, this mimic, let's say, like something like, I'm not sure whether I'm doing it correctly, but you know, with the eyebrows. Oh yes, alright. Okay, so that wasn't the best Jack Nicholson's impression, but and there are many also famous actors and actresses in the cast. I did my best, right, with the eyebrows, so this is fantastic. He looks like from The Shining. The same character. So when you think Jack Nicholson, you know what to expect in terms of his performance, right? His mannerisms. We have also other recognizable names. So in the cast there is, for example, Stockard Channing. So to me, in my case, I know her the best from Grease, the first one. And also Catherine O'Hara, so Kevin's mother from Home Alone 1 and 2. And Milos Forman, and yes, there is a special guest appearance. His actually first role in a Hollywood picture, Kevin Spacey. Surprise, surprise. And he's not a good boy in this film, that's for sure. And he sports like a bit blonde hair, and he still has hair, not this receding hairline like later on in his career. But this is funny to see him in a role of a, let's say, a thug in the subway or in the underground. So definitely, in terms of the cast, the roles, the actors and actresses involved in this picture, so it's worth recommending as well. To be honest, there is yet one more reason why I've decided to record a short review of this film. Of course, the film is worth seeing, even if it's only for the cast, but it's not. If you like drama, so it's also worth picking up, worth checking out. I'm not sure about its availability, but let's cut to the chase. Let's get to the point. Like you can clearly see, it's a DVD release only, right? So it's never been released on Blu-ray, but the DVD quality, the picture quality in this case, it's mind-blowing, really. It looks like a relatively average Blu-ray release. There are many publishing studios like Mill Creek, for example, so they publish many Blu-ray releases which are subpar. Like very often they get the rating of 2 out of 5 for the picture quality, and I would say that this DVD looks as good as those in terms of picture quality. And let me remind you, it's like, even if it's a dual layer DVD, which it is, so it's around 9 gigabytes of space, and Blu-ray double layered, it's 50 gigabytes, so it's a gigantic difference. But this film is devoid of any additional materials, any extra footage, whatever. So maybe that's the reason, because like also the audio options, they are limited. There are many subtitle options, but that audio tracks, so only a couple of them. So there was a lot of space left for the picture, and this is like full screen, so you can get immersed into the events shown in the film, which I love personally. I prefer this one than those margins at the top and at the bottom, like the letterbox format. Yes, so I prefer the full screen, and the picture is very crisp, very detailed. You can make out the details in the foreground, but also in the background. And apart from the colors being a little bit washed out, which is typical of DVD, because again, there's limited space on the disc. So if somebody told me that it was a very mediocre or even a poor Blu-ray release, I would believe it. I would buy this for $1, that's for sure.
I'd buy that for $1.
Because, like I said, I turned it on and I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know that I was quite in for a surprise, and I was, thank God. So I love it when DVD surprises me so much, like a DVD release, when I don't know what to expect. You know, it's a guessing game. Sometimes it could be very good, even if you have only this envelope release. So sometimes it's mind-blowing how good it looks on the screen, the picture quality, but sometimes it's a big disappointment, even if you have a DVD box release. So sometimes it doesn't matter. It could be a one-layer disc and it's fine. It could be a double-layer disc and it's horrible, it's rubbish. But in this case, it's worth recommending. So don't even wait for the Blu-ray release, which may or may not ever happen. We don't know that. I haven't heard anything about the plans of releasing this title, Heartburn, from 1986 on Blu-ray, not to mention even 4K. Perhaps it is available on some streaming platforms, maybe even in the 4K quality, but if you want to have it on a physical format, like physical media, on a disc, in this case a DVD disc, so this is the way to go. Like I said, apart from the colors, they could have been more vibrant, more saturated, but apart from the colors and the color grading, all of it being washed out, so it looks fantastic. I wouldn't say that it looks probably the way it did at the cinemas back then. I don't have any comparison, but like I said, it's only a DVD release. But even on a 50-inch big screen, which is in my case 47 to be more precise, it looks really good. Very eye-pleasing, and you may get immersed into the picture right away. So you don't have any reservations and any second thoughts that maybe I should have purchased something else, or like a Blu-ray release or on streaming or any other form. This one is really worth recommending, especially that if you try hard enough, if you look hard enough on the market, you can get it at a low price. This is the Polish one, which is a rarity, actually. So, and that's great. That's great. So I love it. In terms of the sound quality, the audio quality, so I'm not an expert in this domain. I'm not good at it. To me, it was fine. It was 5.1, the audio format, Dolby Digital, and it's not an action flick, so there is not too much going on in the sound department. It is what it is. There are dialogues, the music, the soundtrack, maybe some traffic sounds when the aerial shots present the whole landscape, present the whole city. Actually, guys, maybe let me play it from the beginning, and I will skip to some other parts of the film. Why not? So you'll have a glimpse of it. Okay, so there's the Paramount logo, and even right here you can see that the picture is pretty crisp, pretty clear. So this is already a good sign, a good herald. And there is this titular song, and right now, so I remember that there's this Coming Around Again song being played right now. Oh, their first encounter before the romantic relationship started. You see? Great. So you can see the details on the faces, in the background as well. Oh, this is fantastic, really. That's what I'm talking about. A good DVD. Alright, so of course there are some specs, and maybe it is a little bit pixelated, but it looks like at the cinema, don't you think so? In terms of the details, how good it is, especially that this is a smaller screen, so around 42 inches in the diameter, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But still, the details on the faces of the actors and actresses, the cast, you see, like a pearl necklace, for example, or the tie here. Only the colors, yes, they could look a little bit better, more vibrant, yes, more realistic. So the hues are limited there in the picture. Maybe one more scene, forward, let's fast forward it, or the details here, for example. Of course, when the camera moves in, pans in and out, so it loses the details a little bit. So, and there's this smoothing effect. But apart from that, to me, it's eye-popping for a DVD. Like a pretty average, mediocre Blu-ray release, which is actually a praise in this case. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. You can almost make out the license plates here, right? Almost. On here, for example, we have this notification, this plaque. Oh, and this is this actress from Greece, whom I've been talking about. You see, you can make out the details easily. So this is really great. That's why I've become a fan of DVD again. I've returned to this format, because many people say that it's not worth it, it's not having it, and DVDs are right now dirt cheap, really. So they go for funny prices. You can buy them easily. They are available on the market because people despise them. Those Blu-ray collectors, 4K collectors. So they get rid of their collections just like that because, wow, they don't have even enough space for that. But I would say that a good DVD is worth picking up. Alright, and maybe one more. Here, for example, you see the details on this flower in the flower pot and the Christmas tree, everything is visible there. Even in the background, right, outside the window, you can make out some parts of the buildings, right, of the background there. I have nothing but good comments and praises, and to me, the effort they put into this restoration or scanning, it's admirable. So 2 thumbs up. Alright guys, so I don't want to bore you to death with my review, but this is my take on this film, so I definitely not regret having watched it. I'm not even sure whether it was the first time around or not, but it could be so actually. That was the first time I saw it ever, from the beginning to the end. So of course before I had been aware of this film, of the cast, what more or less it was about, but I just never had a chance to see it from the beginning to the end. And I was bought by the cast, I was convinced by the cast, by the names, big names attached to it. So of course we have Meryl Streep and Jack Nicholson, but the director, so Mike Nichols and Nora Ephron, I love her films. I love her work as a screenwriter, as a writer. So Sleepless in Seattle, for example, Michael with John Travolta, about that fallen angel, let's say, who has some problems and he winds up on Earth. This is also great and a very underappreciated film. And I've seen it recently on Blu-ray actually, because I think that it's been released by the Warner Archive Studio. But still, I'm going off the topic a little bit. So I would say if you have never seen this film, so it's definitely worth watching. And you have to be ready for what it is. That it's a little bit slow in terms of the pace. It's a drama more than a comedy, and but the chemistry between the actors, it's definitely a selling point, if not the selling point of this film. And that's a shame that they haven't worked together more often. I remember there was this film Ironweed, so they also start together, but in this case, in this film, Meryl Streep got the top billing, and Jack Nicholson was listed after her, but in Silkwood it was vice versa, the other way around. So, as always guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this short review, my take on the film. So definitely this DVD release is worth picking up, it's worth buying, it's worth having in your collection, thanks to the picture quality, which is almost like a weak or average mediocre Blu-ray release, sometimes even better than those. Like, have a look at Mill Creek and their infamous releases. But the film, of course, because this is what we are here for, after all. So the film, it's a good drama, with a tad of comedy in between, in the plot. And even if you don't like this genre, so for the cast itself, if you consider yourself a film fan, a film buff, so I think that you have to tick off this motion picture of your list, of the bucket list. Because you have to see the chemistry between Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep, how well they work together. And I'm not surprised that they say that many of the dialogue lines they were just improvised, because they have such a great chemistry, they understand each other, they are on the same wavelength, that I'm really not surprised. Like a great duo on the screen. So everything comes together into one place in this case. A good DVD release, a nice flick. It has the average score 6.1 on IMDb, so it's not that high, but many people appreciate it for what it is. In the comments section, you can clearly see that there are more positive comments than this average score would indicate it to be. So this is surprising and this is good, this is comforting also, that people defended those kind of films. And the great soundtrack by Carly Simon, so coming around again, like the slower version of Jest już ciemno, the Polish band Feels song. Actually, like I've said, so maybe they were heavily inspired by Carly Simon's song. Heavily inspired, if not something more. And that's it. And the great cinematography, camera movements, long shots. So maybe that's why the film doesn't seem very dynamic in terms of the relationship and the plot development either. But this is what you have to appreciate about the old cinema from the 80s, from the 90s, even the beginning of the 90s, that the camera movements, they try to show everything like at a slower pace that you can take in what is being shown. You can get into that mood, into that atmosphere, into the rhythm. And the 80s, so I love this period. And the films from this period. So it's like a time capsule. You can go back in time, walk down memory lane, have a look again at the past through the pink tinted glasses. Maybe I'm a sentimental guy, but this is also a sentimental film, so highly recommend it. Please check it out. Thank you very much guys for the attention, and I hope that you will decide to watch this flick sooner or later, regardless of the format, and I hope to see you next time with another review, maybe a Blu-ray release this time, because I haven't done this one for a long time. Thank you, take care, and until next time. Cheers! If you have never seen this film, so